Oh, yeah.
Tell me, how long has it been since you saw your dad, and how did you end up being there tonight?
I haven't seen my father in 6 or 7 years. Right? I'm here tonight because my mother saw that they were organising a reunion down here, and my mother said to me, your father's going to be playing in Invercargill on the 2nd of November, and we found out about this about 3 months ago. So we went straight down and bought our airplane tickets in, so we've sort of been anxious to get down here and see him do it.
And what did you think of watching your dad play for the very first time?
It's amazing to see him play on stage, because I've seen the pictures, I've read it in the magazines, but I've never actually seen it in person. Yeah. And being a guitarist myself, and asking him to teach me guitar, and he was never really interested in it. Well, he never had the patience to teach me, I think. But now being here and watching him play after he's been out of practice, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, totally amazing.
Cool. Let's change. Now your dad's got, well, looking at the photos and reading about the Unknown Blues, your dad's part of New Zealand's wildest band in the 1960s, or one of them. What do you think about that? How does that match up with what you know as a kid and as an adult?
It's a lot different than what I knew of him as a child and as an adult. He was a perfectionist, always a very hard worker, never had any time for joking around or playing games. It was always business, you know. It was always, there wasn't time for fun a lot of the time with that. It was always work, you know. It was only about 5 years after that I was born that Dad put down the guitar and didn't play guitar again. And then when I was 7 years old, it was 1979, when we all moved to Australia. The whole family moved to Australia.
So that doesn't really matter. Well, your dad was serious as an adult and as a parent, but looking at photos when he was a young man, quite the opposite.
I think once he realised that he had 2 children, myself and my sister, he sort of was, look, this is the time now. That's my childhood. I'll put that aside and just knuckle down to my work and support my family and supply for my family. Yeah.
And as a guitarist, what do you make of his technique? Are you impressed with what you've seen?
Slow, precise, controlled bends. I loved every minute of it. Yeah, I don't have time for show pony guitaring.
How you surprised your dad this evening and his reaction when he walked in, how you feel to see him again after so long?
I hadn't seen my dad in 6 or 7 years, hadn't talked to him in probably about 4 or 5 years, and I've been so excited to come down here and actually catch up with him. I'm a bit of a slack person on the telephone, so is my father, so we never really keep in touch, sort of our own people. But when I walked in the door and he heard that I'd come in, because they said, oh, this is Vaughan's son. And he was behind the corner sitting down, and he jumped up and turned around and, hey Shorty, what are you doing? Well, of course, he's up to my chin. So, yeah, it was bloody good, really good.
Yeah. Do you know much about Dave or Barry, or any of the other blues guys?
Yeah, I know Hoagie. We visited Hoagie in Melbourne in the early 90s. He was with a band at the time called the Paramount Trio. I used to salivate all over Barry's record collection. He had a room of floor-to-ceiling, 4 walls record collection. Yeah.
Still does.
Yeah, okay. And Barry, we've visited Barry a few times. The main thing I remember about Barry is his love for old Ford V8s. Me being a Holden man all the time, I've sort of always given him a bit of a hard time about that, but you know, beautiful old cars, lovely old engines, yeah. Sort of like the old Bonnie and Clyde mobiles.
Can you tell me a little bit about how having kids shifted your dad's focus away from the band and settling down?
I can only really tell you sort of my understanding of it and the way, because of course I was too young then, but once us kids were born and sort of the house in Tanner Road was sort of 3/4 built, yeah, Dad just sort of put the guitar away and that's it, I've got no more time for that. He was a fitter welder down at the railway yards in Dunedin, and yeah, there was just no time for music. When we moved to Australia, I don't think he had a guitar for a couple of years, you know, so he just sort of, yeah, just concentrated on work and family and, yeah.
And as a musician yourself, what did you make of the chemistry between Dave, Barry and Vaughan on stage?
Oh, magical. Yeah.
Can you try and work my question into your answer?
The way that, yeah. Well, Barry and Dad play well together, you know. Barry's a great rhythm player and old left-hander, and they just seem to hang off notes together so well. I noticed before when they were playing, they were hanging off this one note, and to signify the hanging off the note, you saw Hoagie come up and just sort of lean on Dad on the shoulder, you know, you're really hanging on that note, aren't you? You got to let it go. Yeah. Oh, it was magic, yeah. But to have that skill too, to just hang off one note while you're going through your bars, it's tricky. It's trickier than what you think because you're just playing one chord, fair enough. But to actually hang off that one chord and keep the beat going, it's yeah, it's not as easy as what it looks. Yeah.
What's it like having a dad who's a member of the Wild and Savage Blues and is known as the most flamboyant of the best?
Amazing. The thing is though, you know about it, you read about it, you never see it. If you know my father the way I know him through all the growing up, and the strictness, the sternness, the drumming in, the hard work ethic all the time, it's hard to believe it's the same person. One of the best unknown blues stories that I know of, and it was told to me by my mother, was when they were all partying out at the beach in Dunedin one night, all out there with their tall bottles of beer, drinking away, and well, Mr. Plods turned up by himself in his police car to tell them to bloody knock it off and get back into town. So the boys grabbed him and locked him in the bloody boot of his police car and drove off and went home and left him there on the beach in his own boot. Yeah. Oh, funny stuff. Yeah. Harmless and funny. Yeah.